do you think that traditional marketing will have to become more personalized? Because I feel like with the online trends we're having right now, especially with social, the communication people are getting is very direct and personal. If you ask a question to a brand on a Twitter handle, you're going to get a real person that writes something back and says, "Why, yes, Julia, here's the information about your stay." With brochure right now, it's very, and not that brochures are bad, but they're written for general market. Is that even something that's kind of being thought about, taking information from the online experience and then tailoring any type of mailer or offline content to that?
I completely agree. Sorry, Charlie. I think so. I mean, when you really know and understand your customer, don't send out a brochure that mails to 10,000 people based on the web experience. You know the type of destinations and products they're looking at. Create them a PDF, email it to them, or send them something through the post. I get a lot of personalised mail through the post from some of the big credit card companies trying to get me to sign up to cards based on where they know I'm searching or looking at. I think it's Barclaycard are very good at that. But I completely agree with you. I think this traditional marketing, I think that's going to be dead in the water within the next 5 to 10 years. I think it's about, I'm not saying there's no role for offline marketing, but how you engage one-to-one. This new economy that we're working within is all about reaching customers on a one-to-one level, so which drives more engagement and makes me an advocate of that brand.
We see a lot of brochure work. Not just in the travel sector. It's the mainstay for the fashion sector as well. So we had a previous roundtable on the fashion sector. We've spoken to lots of retailers as well, and it's interesting to hear that when people say that the brochure drives a lot of business, is that when you deconstruct what that lot of business is that new customer acquisition, or is that reigniting existing customers? What is it doing? And I think a lot of marketing does a combination of those things. It reignites existing customers and it drives new business as well. And looking at what percentage of it actually does what might actually be a little bit of a shock to some people to find out that we were talking to one fashion retail brand, and we found out that pretty much and it was millions and millions of pounds they were spending on producing these something like 12 annual mail shots that they were doing. It was really 60-75% just reigniting the existing customer base. At which point we were thinking, well, is there a better way to reignite the existing customer base without spending tens of millions of pounds? And we actually did an interactive on-site game for another retailer. Originally the idea came out of a customer acquisition remit, and it was designed to as I recall, the game was a treasure hunt. You had to go around the site, find the clues, and the clues were all around the web, and the clues were all around the site, and you had to put the clues together and find the right thing to win the prize, and generate an enormous amount of buzz. But what we thought it was going to do is we thought it was going to create lots of new customers, and it created new customers. But it and it managed to pay for itself through those new customers. But what the really staggering finding was that it was igniting existing customers. And the average existing customer spent about 2 hours on the website, clicking around, navigating, reacquainting themselves, in the process of playing the game, reacquainting themselves with the brand, reacquainting themselves with the inventory that they provided, reacquainting themselves with the proposition. And that, aside, produced a whole raft of new sales over the immediate period and the subsequent 90 days that weren't picked up in the sort of the new customer sort of detection or new customer counting sort of mechanism. And by comparison, the game was a drop in the water in terms of their annual print budget, what they spent on postage and print to get these things out. And if it's possible to, not to ditch the print, because I think anyone that said ditch the print would clearly be pushing the boat way too far, but to try and find a way to say, well, okay, so there is print, but is there a cheaper way to do this? Because what we're really doing is we're just reigniting our existing customer base, because we're not sending those new brochures out to new people a lot of the time because they're all known to us, and most of the people that we're sending out to, it's probably 70% of our existing database, 30% of it is probably list buys or data swaps or something like that, and at which point every mailer is really not going out to that many new people. And perhaps exploring a little bit more of a social or a digital creative angle might be a an equally or more cost-effective way of trying to reignite that audience.
Yeah, I was quite interested to hear from you, Guido, in terms of Expedia as an online player. How does Expedia work with offline media to kind of complement the work that you're doing online?
I've never seen an Expedia brochure.
Yeah, we don't get
it. All right.
Well, we mainly spend on traditional offline channel like TV and newspaper.
Yeah.
And this is where the channel that we use offline. And before was more call to action strategy. And last year we are trying to building a brand around the message that people should travel. Mm-hmm. So we invest offline a good part of our budget, but the big part is still online.
So for you, that investment is investment in the brand in terms of awareness and recall, but not about product.
In the last year, it's a building a brand.
Right.
Before was about product.
Okay. Is that a deliberate switch because product wasn't showing any benefit, or because
no,
you felt
product
you've
was showing benefit,
okay,
but we feel the need that we had to
push brand
okay, more because of the brand awareness that was decreasing. And
okay.
So on.
That's some interesting thoughts there about the relationship between on and offline, and I kind of want to drift it a little bit more towards the online and just talk a little bit about starting, perhaps with you, Luke, about the split between the different budgets, the proportion of budget that you might have for different channels online. So, I'm not asking specifically, but in terms of just the proportion,
yeah,
what are the channels that you?
I don't know the figure.
Okay.
But this apart from the offline, which we really not using that much, we keeping focus, of course, on organic search, which is good. I cannot say how much percent we have from this, okay, because this is quite confident. But this, of course, PPC, and we're trying to keep as much as we can focus on email marketing, right, which lots of people believe that this is a bit outdated and no one is reading this. But I believe if you can observe successful of Travelzoo, which totally based on email marketing, and this is something we should continue, and this is something we have been talking about on Omniture conference. Yeah. You've definitely been there in Hilton, probably.
I didn't go this year, but I have been to that conference.
Yeah, really. That was really interesting, and they were many times repeating that email marketing is something. I'm a bit sad about what I was reading last time about SEO, because the click-through rate is going down. Right. But there is many factors which affecting this click-through rate. But I definitely believe these three channels, focusing on them, maybe in this direction, PPC, SEO, and email marketing, is the way how I'm focusing. Of course, I'm doing SEO only, but I would say PPC is bringing the higher quality than SEO, and then.